Did you guys change any procedures or anything if you're faced with a similar situation, coming to pit road and the lights go on? And do you think NASCAR should? Is there anything NASCAR can do to kind of change the rule so that a driver doesn't get bit by it?
I never even watched it.
Because it was done.
It was done. I mean, I was 3, 2, 1, lights on. From that point, I just go down pit road and do what you're told and go from there. And it is what it is. So I never even looked at it.
And beyond the additional safety reasons, would it help if you had a light on the dash that came on when the caution light comes out?
I think it's just, the chances of being in that scenario, that's the first time I've ever been in that scenario in my whole career. So I've done this a long time, and I think that the odds of it happening in that particular time with, racing for the lead and being one or two car lengths from the line and having it affect your whole race, finish and everything that happened are probably slim to none. So, I think that protecting yourself or changing rules or something along those lines, I don't really know. I don't know what you would do, right? I think if you back the line up and put it in a different spot, it might be the same scenario over again. I'm not really sure. I think there's a number of ways you could look at that. So it was just an untimely situation, unfortunately. Happened to be us.
Zach Sterniola, NASCAR.com. Kevin, there's been a lot of big moments here at Kansas in the playoffs, whether some clutch wins or some heartbreaking moments for playoff drivers. What is it about the racing at Kansas that has promoted some of those moments? And especially with this next gen car, there have been a lot more side by side racing. It feels like throughout the course of this race. What have you seen from your perspective?
Yeah, I don't know that I would agree with your last statement on side-by-side racing with the car. I think this particular racetrack has just been racy in general. I think when they redid the racetrack with the progressive banking and the way that the groove is moved around and you can run the middle, top, bottom, it gives you a lot of options from a driver's standpoint. I think that I think that's just a product of the racetrack. I don't think it has anything to do with one car or the other. So, I think that the other thing that happens here is, the restarts, you have so much room to go into turn 1 and 2 and go all over the racetrack and look for empty space to try to make a move. You can be super aggressive with the pushing. And, I think that's usually what causes the issues that happen on the restarts, just everybody being aggressive because, you have to go and you have to do what you have to do and take chances in order to put yourself in a position to be in a good spot. So ultimately, I think it's really a product of the track. For whatever reason, this has been one of our racier mile-and-a-half racetracks with the way that the asphalt has aged and the way that the racetrack has progressed and you can move around the track. And, so I think it's definitely more track than car, with what promotes that good racing.
All right, we're going to go to Lee, and then we're going to come up here to the front.
Lee Spencer, CatchFence.com. Some people are looking at Bristol as a wild card in this round just because it's a short track and things can get really crazy. But you've had a win, a second, and before, you look like you were in contention in last year before the last pit stop. Does that give you confidence, even though some people might, think it could be a silly race that, you can go in there and do what needs to be done?
It has been a good racetrack for us. I think that really all these races can be wild cards, and I know you guys think my answers are boring, but there's not one racetrack that really is any different to me. They can all have something happen and turn into pure craziness. This one has been way crazier than some of the Bristol races, and Bristol's been crazy, in its own way. So I think they can all turn upside down quickly, and you hope that you're not on the other side of where you need to be. So, but Bristol has been a great racetrack for us, and you just hope that you can go in there and have that continue and capitalize on that, and I think really these are all good racetracks for us, and can all be good racetracks for us on one day or another. So it's just a matter of getting it all together and having it all work out.
We're right here.
Caleb Vessel, SpeedwayDigest.com. Kevin, after this weekend, just going to be 8 races left in the 2023 season, which is your final year. Have the emotions kicked in yet, knowing that this is your final year, or are you so focused into the playoffs that you're not even thinking about that yet?
Yeah, well, it really doesn't matter to me. I think for me, we've been so set on how this year was going to go. We started planning in November, and I've had my arms wrapped around what this whole year was. And I think for me, it's been everything. It's even if it's regular season race or playoffs, it really doesn't matter. For me, as far as how I approach it or what I feel, I think for me, the feelings were every week is another piece of closure as to what we're heading towards wrapping up as far as my driving career, and I think a lot of that just comes with the planning of everything that we have. So there's really no new emotions for me going from one racetrack to the other. It's been a lot of fun just to be able to hear the fans' stories and the different moments at the racetracks and be able to celebrate all those moments and things that have happened through the years. But for me, I'm very content with the decisions that have been made, and the path that is going forward is so far into play that this whole process seems like old news to me, just because of the fact that it's been happening for so long, throughout the year. Not that I'm not going to enjoy the last 8 weeks as far as those last moments and celebrations and moments of things that happen with fans or people or sponsors or whatever it is. But that's just how I am. We make a plan, we lay things out, and we organize it, and I don't think I don't think we could have done many. Obviously we could always do some things better, but it's been just a well executed plan, and it's been a lot of fun to have the fans and friends and people and sponsors and just all the things that have been a part of everything that we've done week in and week out has been pretty cool to see it all executed. So for me, it's a plan. There are a lot of things that go into it, but it's just not a new emotion for me. Like going to Kansas or going to Bristol next week, there's just not going to be anything new that pops up for me because I'm so far into knowing what to expect.
Brooklyn Jackson, the podium finish. As you pursue your second championship, how impactful has Rodney Childers been to your career, would you say?
Yeah, I think for us, it's been a great relationship of friendship, and I think for the guys on the team, it's been a good ride that a lot of us have been on together for almost 10 years, and so Rodney and I have a good relationship and have been able to execute and do things well on the racetrack and work through good moments and bad moments and just move on to the next one. So, I think it's rare that you see a group of people work together for the amount of time that we've worked together, and I've enjoyed that, and it's worked out well.
All right, we're going to go to Dustin next.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. You talked at Media Day about, in the terms of playoffs, it's go, prepare, race. And you talk about plans and processes, and I'm going to guess that's kind of how you go through everything. So when something like last week happens, and it's the potential of lost points or the potential lost victory, yes, there's frustration, but I'm guessing it doesn't faze you because it's go, prepare, race. And I'm just curious about how you got to that point, or how difficult it is even for somebody like yourself to not go into this race and think, I got to make up a little bit after what happened last week.
Yeah, well, fortunately, unfortunately, I've lost a lot of races in my lifetime. So, and that's what I try to explain to our young kids is you better figure out how to be a good loser. Even if you're really good, you're only going to win. You might win 10, really good, you might win 10% of your races. So it's just part of it. It's not, well, somebody had this out for you, or man, you should have done this or you should have done that. Sometimes it's just the way it works, and you're in the wrong place, wrong time, and when you've been around it for a long time, you go about your business, and I've just got too many things to do to dwell on one moment, because it's not going to do anything but get me behind. And you think about the moment, and if there's something that needs to be addressed, then you look at that and you address that and you move on. But this one was pretty simple in my mind as far as what you could work on. I don't know. I mean, from that standpoint, there's really nothing that you can work on. I came to pit road and came down to pit road and looking at my lights, 3, 2, 1, caution's out, see the light, look back at the tack, and by that time you're across the commitment line. So there's really no changes there from my standpoint.
Obviously, through the years, you've had great fan support, but it certainly seems like in this year that so many people want to see you win, and there were so many people. For as frustrated as you felt last week, I'm sure there were a number of people in the sport or just fans that, man, if Kevin Harvick could have just won the Southern 500 for that, his last year.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, do you feel that? Do you sense that? And what is that like, I guess, if you do, for a guy who was once viewed as a punk, I guess, early in your career and getting booed, and to have this type of reaction where people are wanting you to and hoping you can win. And
it's been a long time since I've been in that punk phase. So, I think for me, it's definitely something that you recognize and feel and try to appreciate, just because that's really what our goal was this year, right? You want to go out and do everything right as you walk out the door and have everybody respect and like the things that you've done throughout your career. But really your first impression is kind of like your last impression, right? So as you walk out, you try to do as many things right as possible. And one of our main goals this year was to be competitive and be in contention and try to have a chance to win races and race for the championship and walk out that way. So obviously, winning the Southern 500 and being in that position and having, all those people root for you and want that to happen is exactly what we want, right? And it's just, there's no way to force that stuff. You can't control so many things that happen. But I can definitely sense the support, and it's really been that way all year since we started the season, and the fan support and the industry support has been over the top, and it's and I told somebody, you almost can't screw this up, but it would be spectacular if you could win and do those things that so many people are coming to the racetrack hoping that they get to witness in person, right? No matter what market it is, and obviously, that one was right there, towards the end of the race and racing for the lead and doing all the things that you want to do, but this is a brutal sport. You'll win one week and the next week you'll be wrecked out and finish last. So it's been that way as long as I've been around it. But I think it is different this year just because it's the last year with the fans and the people and everything that have going on, because they want you to achieve that moment.
Is that drive home from last week, is that just silence on your part, or is that able to put it away, or is that the time to kind of process that and then okay, this is my time to be mad?
You guys listen to me every week, and you probably, and I know that everybody wants me to have a different answer, but I've got a 5-year-old and 11-year-old in the back seat that are completely delirious to being way up past their bedtime and just oblivious to the impact of things that go on. And it literally, as soon as you get out of the car, you walk in the motorhome and you're mad and you're trying to process everything, and then it's all of a sudden you just go into a different world, and it's just I know it's not the fancy great story that everybody's looking for, but it's the way my life operates. You know, it's switch on, switch off, and I think that makes it better. It's better for me personally and mentally, and it's just a way easier way to process things. But yeah, we drove home and listened to them talk about whatever they did during the day, and that was it. Yep.
All right, we're running close on time. We're going to try to get 3 more questions, and we're going to go to Cole and then to Justin and then finish right here in the back.
Cole Cusimano with the Arizona Republic. Kevin, it seemed like the first half of the season, you and your team were one of the best, if not the best, in terms of consistency this season among the Fords. Now you've seen teams like RFK get wins and close the gap, as well as Penske. Where do you feel you guys stack up to the other Fords in the playoffs right now?
We had the fastest Ford last week, so that's really all that matters until we roll on the track this week.
All right, we'll go to
Actually, we probably had the fastest car last week, so in general.
Justin Schuler kicking the tires. How's Ryan been doing? Obviously, the last 2 weeks have been crazy for his career. And then how did he handle Darlington, and how's his demeanor been?
He seemed fine. I'm not going to answer questions for him. Yeah.
Steven Stump, frontrush.com. Kevin, you mentioned about your final season, kind of having a plan, executing it. If a win wasn't in the cards for the final 9 races, would you be at peace with that, or is that something that would sting well after Phoenix?
I think for those who have been here every week, no, I'm pretty at peace with everything.
All right. And then last question I had regarding Kansas. This last true 1.5-mile track was all the way back at Charlotte in May. Does that make this race more difficult to prep for in comparison to years past when there were tons of more 1.5-mile tracks in the schedule?
I don't think so. We've already raced here this year, so we have a pretty good idea of what we're looking for.